Really excited to be joined today by Calvin McCarty, a running back who played his entire career in Edmonton, had a great CFL career, and as running back coach myself, just really excited to pick coach's brain. I can call you coach now because I guess you're officially retired. I saw that on Twitter the other
Yeah,
day. So congrats on an incredible career. I mean, most guys, if they play 3 years in the league, that's amazing. But over a decade, especially at a position like running back, is incredible. So thanks for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about reading zone blocking schemes and coaching running backs to read zone blocking schemes, and then get into some pass pro fundamentals. So if you want to kind of let people know how you got to this point in your career and what you're doing now, that'd be great. Thanks for joining us today.
awesome, man. Thanks for having me, Jackson. Um, yeah, man, I've been playing football my whole life, and since I was 6 years old, been playing running back most of the time too. As a youngster, we always played both ways. It's, a bit of a sandlot field, but running back just always had its own. Running back, fullback, tight end, whatever it was, being involved in the special teams. But you're just one of those guys that you can a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but at the end of the day, you get the full meal deal, and that's one of the reasons I've enjoyed playing a position, and I enjoy coaching the position now. But it's one of those things that your glass is never full. There's a lot to learn, whether it's blocking with the O line, the upfront schemes, understanding what the secondary is doing in the passing game, running the ball yourself, catching the ball, the minor details of the footwork and the technique it takes to execute it, and where you fit in on the special team. It's just it's I've been blessed to play the game for that long, man. 13 seasons with the Eskimos, and having an opportunity to teach the next man and give back. I feel like that's just a natural progression of it. So I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate you doing what you guys do over there, man. And thank you for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate it. So, like I said, and a lot of people don't know this, but I coach running back. So, one of the things I enjoy the most is when you get a high school athlete who's a really good athlete and great with the ball in their hand, and you can kind of show them some things that can help them take their game to the next level. And I think everyone always wants to know, how do I be more patient, or how do I read this out? How do I be efficient carrying the football? Because that's the difference. Everyone's athletic at the next level, but being able to see the game is what really lets people, I think, take those skills and translate them into success. And I think in zone blocking schemes, sometimes, it can be oversimplified, like, oh, everyone's blocking this way, and you're just going to look to read here, read there. But what are your coaching points for either people coaching running backs or running backs themselves that are in zone blocking schemes? How do you go about reading the offensive line and helping guys be confident decision makers with the football?
Right. I mean, one of the first things I would say, if I was a coach and I'm coaching a player, would be to, be patient. Run with your eyes up, vision, see the whole. Understand what the defense is doing. We call it pre-play preparation. That could be outside of the stadium, what you do to get ready, but whether that's watching film or even at a young age where you're not so much watching film, but you're just learning the basics, would be the eyes inside, slow to, fast through, all the cliches. But when you're out there and your adrenaline's pumping, and you just want to get that ball and go, you need to relax, breathe, be confident back there, and have and be confident in the work that you put in, because we're not just throwing running backs out there, to the wolves. Here's a ball, go run, get north. It's a process. So trust what your coach is teaching you, trust what you do in practice. And then game day, man, that's where you let it all go. Because, like, as you understand, we have what, a 8-1, maybe 10-1 practice to game ratio. If you include the spring, maybe 12-1. But there's way more game days there's way more holidays than game days. So a lot of my thing on game days for my back, obviously, there could be basic sit-in step, read the near, the near three technique, or whoever's head up to a center. Maybe they have different fronts. There's all kinds of ways you could chop it up, but just the basic formation, run with your eyes, keep that wrist above the elbow, especially in traffic, double-handed if you have to, especially when you go down. Guys go down and that ball comes out, or they try and make a move and they think they're Allen Iverson, or who has a killer crossover now I could use. Anyways, there's a lot of ball handlers in the NBA, but
For sure.
my main thing is, trust yourself, trust your reads, slow to, fast through, And when you get through there, man, you got to protect the rock because that's the team. And at the end of the day, I fumbled the ball. I've been there. It's one of the worst feelings, seeing it on the ground and then guys are piled on you. But make sure you keep that wrist above your elbow, ball tight, eyes up, see where you're running. Don't look down. Trust that your linemen are going to do their job. If you understand what's happening in front of you, then, hey, you trust it and you hit it. And they get you to the second level. It's your job to make at least one miss. You know, as a running back, you got to either run somebody over or you got to make somebody miss. Either way, you got to do something. But really, at the end of the day, is to start the ball with the ball and end the play with the ball. That's the mission. Whether you get -2 yards, touchdown, you don't read it right. As long as you finish the play with the ball, it's not a negative play. You know, don't make a bad play worse. So, you know, especially reading inside zone, I want to focus on really getting north and reading push on that first guy. So I would teach my backs to make sure they're slow to, fast to allow those blocks to develop. Let the mans get on their guys. Let our O-linemen do their job so we can do our job. And that's basically what I would go for if it was, you know, just inside zone.
For sure. And in terms of, and I'll pull the film we got up here in a sec. You know, I love the comment like slow to, fast through. I think that really helps guys feel that pace. Like we always talk about be patient. Well, be patient till when? Well, when you see that hole, then you be fast through it. Right.
Yes.
But as you're approaching it, right, still, you know, being able to have some tempo and not, you know, just running straight the line of scrimmage. And I think this was always something that was so clear for me because I played offensive line and I was coming to running backs from an offensive line background, is understanding that, you know, it's not like when the play starts, you're your most safe and then it gets worse from there on out. If you are rush, you're not letting the O-line do their job. There's the timing there. You know, the offensive line being able to get to the linebackers, the offensive line being able to, you know, work that double team as opposed to just fitting the double team and then having to get off right away because the back, you know, is forcing their way through is too quick through the hole.
Exactly. Maybe even a defense is trying to stunt and the backer's out of position on the cutback, but you're so friggin' gas pedal down that you don't see that. And you're running boom, boom. You're just making it harder on yourself. So whether or not you're setting it up yourselves or sometimes you let the defense set themselves up to be able to so you can execute. So that's one of the biggest mistakes, man, is guys getting too anxious. And I find that early in the game, you want to get the contact, you want to get it out the way. Most times it's early in the game. You know, later in the game, you might be able to catch your breath, get a chance to go look on the sideline, but every play matters. You only get so many opportunities. Just like we said, there's so many game days. So whether it's that first carry or that 9th or 15th carry, if you approach it with that same and you hit a home run on the first one, you know what I mean? You never know which one it's going to be. So whether it's the first play of the game, you got to do what you got to do to get that. You know what I mean? Some guys play with that edge, but that calmness to be able to, like you say, see it. Don't push the gas pedal so fast. Slow to, fast through. And, you know, it's kind of tough to play on that style when you're a running back and, you know, your adrenaline's pumping and everything adding into it. And so to be able to do that, I think is a big thing for the backs.
For sure. I'm going to pull up that film here. And we can take a look at that and kind of talk through, you know, what you're seeing. You know, we're going to watch some, you know, some pretty explosive plays from your career here, a lot of zone stuff. So I'm going to get out of the way and I'm just going to let you kind of talk about what are you seeing? What are you looking at? You know, how are you making these decisions? And then what are the physical, you know, things you got to do to be able to execute them?
Man, it's 4 down. We got 2 backers. We got 5 O linemen. If I can make one miss, I know we're man to man in the secondary and, you know where bodies are. So the back angle, you probably be able to see it more. So I know 46 is on me, the guy right across from me. So if I can get him to bury, he's the hitter or the DN. It's either going to be him or the DN usually. So when, you know, the big thing is to press that hole, press the front side to the center, get all the way to the line of scrimmage. And there it is, DN free. That backer commits and right off my guard's butt, man. And then when you get to the second level, man, you want to square him up. Let him know, you know, you could go left or right or even north. And the big thing is you don't want to take that angle right. When you get through this gap, I don't want to just go left right now. Kind of make the cut, re-square, just to get him to settle his feet. If I would have stayed left, he would have, you know what I mean? Either I could have maybe tried to jump, but he'd clip my leg, he'd do something. So really it's about trying to reset him up and get that two-way go.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point. That's one I kind of in my own head, whenever I'm coaching a freshman running back, I have a list of about 4 or 5 things, and I know that mistake is coming, right? They're so excited, especially if it's in training camp, right? You get in the second level in training camp, all of a sudden you think, hey, this isn't going to be that hard. This is amazing. Look where I am, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden you start
Yes.
running into the space and you don't square that guy up, right? And
Or it could be somebody else coming from that left, that same angle that
yeah,
you don't see, and you're running right into it. And you've seen the collisions, you've seen the strip fumbles, you've seen these kind of things happen. So you're trying to reduce that space and attack that man. And another rule is, is dodge one, split two, a heavy one. It comes up in a lot of situational football, and it basically boils down to that.
yeah, that's a huge one. That's something that as I kind of learn the position, when I'm watching good guys, and there's a ton of good guys in the league right now, good Canadian running backs. Obviously Harris in Winnipeg does awesome stuff. But I watch the guys that are really, really good, and I always found, hey, in these situations with two tacklers, sometimes they're better because they don't hesitate. Right.
Exactly.
Like sometimes guys get so tied up with making one guy miss. They see two guys that they have that good habit. Like you said, C1, you make a move, C2, you split them. Right.
Yes.
I would always hammer on my guys. If you C2, split two every time.
Exactly.
And
100%.
some guys are better because it takes kind of the thinking out of it. And it doesn't mean
Yeah.
you put your head down and you run into them. You want to find
Right.
a soft spot, find an arm, not a shoulder.
Press one, half a man. Yeah.
100%.
Get one leaning and then split them.
Yeah, and that that to me that's a great. Hopefully, we get a situation we can see some of that, some film coming up. Remind me to come back to that if I don't.
Got you.
In terms of you pre-snap here, you talked about trying to get this linebacker to bear.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
How do you do that, and what do you kind of mean by make him bury?
That's the pressing the line of scrimmage. You see, if I was a cutback right now, maybe a step prior, I know my guard has to push that way. We got a nice gap there. Center gets great push, so I got room to make that where the center shadow is really opposite A gap. If I could make it there, the cutback could still be there if it's not here now. But let's say they try to play a game or something. But really, it's about getting to the heels of the O-lineman before you make your decision. And if the O-lineman is getting pushed back and that line of scrimmage changes, well, the play is pretty much whooped. So really, if the guys up front don't fight for that extra inch, or if they get an extra inch on that side, that's even more pressure that we can put on the defense. So the guys do a great job here. 6'1" gets hands on I want to say that's Pottinger. He might be a McMaster guy. I'm gonna throw that out there. But yeah, man, it's really about just pressing and getting as close as they can to the line of scrimmage to make them commit.
For sure. I know these next couple clips are all pretty similar in terms of getting downhill in the zone. I think that point about pressing the line of scrimmage is huge again, because we talked about guys just running into space.
For sure.
That's a great point. If you're vertical, the linebacker has to be vertical, and it makes the O-line's job easy.
And here, man, we're gonna throw out the slow too fast through theory. Just because this is, if you go back to the front, it's a 50 front, or you call it an eagle. All 5 linemen are covered. And during this kind of defense, we knew, like, if you could pause there, you could look at that. We have 3 receivers to the field. The mic's gonna unwrap and come to the backside. So this is a look where they would unwrap the mic to the field, and you see how they bring in that half or the Sam. And they bring the Sam. So we knew in that certain look, safety cheating over top. He's kind of hugging the hash, but cheating to the left. We knew that the mic was going to unwrap to the backside. So I knew I'd have a gap. What is that? Either B or C. So really pre-snap on this upcoming clip from the end zone view is me getting the B gap. It might be C gap. But that was the plan when we had this play. The play was called. We could just say green, and it's a matter of it happening that fast. And you have to understand that this is the defense. 24. There we go. No worries.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, 48 isn't stacked in front of 24. He's going to unwrap to the field. he's going to come to where 90 is, to his right, or just scrape that B gap. So I knew we have opposite. Is that A gap? Yeah.
Ends up being, I think. Yep.
Yeah. So opposite A gap. That's where I'm headed to pre-snap. So the slow too fast through theory is throwing out pre-snap right now. As soon as he called the play green, this was the play that we had designed for this defense. So a lot of that is being ready when your number is called. And man, the guys did a great job. You see those lanes, man, and really about hitting it there. And then we talk about squaring up the safety again in the open field. That was the dead leg. Show him the outside angle and then cut back across his face. If I stay square, it's a collision with 14. Square back to the boundary side. One more step, lean, and then come back. And I know a lot of guys harp on carrying the ball on the inside or outside arm going left or right. With me, man, it's about being comfortable. You know, I've seen guys use it as a shield to stay in bounds and also score. I've seen guys keep it in that hand. You know, I've seen guys, if you fumble the ball, you fumble the ball. I've seen guys fumble the ball going right with the ball in their right hand, and the ball still stays in bounds. So at the end of the day, it's about a comfort level. And like we said in the beginning, it's about starting to play with the ball and ending the play with the ball, right? So whatever you got to do to make that most comfortable for you. But if it's switching the ball, I don't really recommend switching too much. But as far as going left or going right, I'm not a big left or right guy.
Man, you're making me, you're making me feel good here, Coach, because I at least guessed a couple things right in my career with coaching running backs. I've always found like teaching guys to switch the ball is another thing I have to teach, and then I'm always going to be telling them you shouldn't have switched the ball there. You're in too much traffic. So I've told my guys, hey, if the tackler's on our ball side, then we got to protect the football with the second hand. If the tackler is away from our ball side, then we can use the other hand to defend ourselves. But that I think that's a great point.
Here we got a brick with our fullback. Same thing, inside zone, man. This is definitely a slow to fast through type developing play. It's kind of weird here because 11, he kind of tried to slow play and backdoor and then kind of got caught. I don't know if we could see it as much, but I'm inside 42. He sees the peak. I see 11 peak. And, man, he's kind of screwed, I think, either way. But it's just about, playing the game and guys getting on their blocks and being able to be patient and set them up. So if you give a read too early, you kind of close off your windows of opportunity. I played with a back named Archie Whitlock who played with Frank Gore, and Frank Gore would call it shopping. So he say, imagine you got your shopping cart and you're picking your lane. You can't be too fast, but you can't be too slow either. It's that fine balance about, and then being fast to it. Once you make your decision what aisle you're going down, man, you go down that aisle full speed.
So where are your eyes at, pre-snap as the ball carrier on his own scheme? So, I mean, this is a 30 front, so maybe this is a bad example.
Same idea though, So we're going to read the first guy over the center. He's kind of shaded a little bit to the centers, right? So my eyes are going center, guard, all the way back. He gets a little leverage. I'm through there. I know I got a free hitter off the edge, so I got to get north and get skinny and try and get my feet up now, So, and you see 26 came off the edge there free. And that 30, that stack front, one of those guys are going to be the free hitter, but also I think we get good push up front. Even though he plays back on the center, if y'all was to read it initially, you might say center had leverage or he should have had leverage, but he backdoored. And if you're too fast, you're running straight into 94. That's where the patient comes in. And then let your blocks develop. You see what happens. Finish north. Make sure your shoulder pads are finishing north always. You know where people are coming from. You have the ball in your hand. Man, be violent when you finish your runs. And that's a big thing. At any point, man, these guys are going to come. Some guys are going to hold you up. People try and hit you. People try and dive into your legs. They roll up on your ankles. You have a chance to punish the defense, lean into those guys, whether it's pass blocking, running the ball. We call it barbecue ribs. You see a defensive end, two hands pushing a tackle, man, go ahead and give that guy some action. But don't mess up the tackle. Another 3rd and 2 situation right now, man, I'm reading. I think we had a puller on this. We might have had a guard. Yeah, this one was about, still reading that initial guy and getting north. Here he is, backside free. You see 56 collapse there quick. Only because I pressed it. If I didn't threaten the front side, 56 might be backdooring, but then I'm staying on beat. I'm reading 96. Okay. 96 gets a little bit of leverage, but he also gives me room to make that cut. Shoulder pad square on contact to break the first one and break the second one. If I cut back on an angle, the DN's eating me up. If you give him half a man or a square, kind of like a T, you know what I mean? Like he can't really get his face across, but your shoulder pads are running through his face. But if my shoulder pads are running to his face, that body weight and that leverage that defensive end has, you don't have a chance as a running back. 230, Derrick Henry, 5'9", 180 running back or not. But if you can get your shoulder pad square and get north and finish through that tackle, you got a chance.
Absolutely. I think one of the things I'm seeing in all these clips that, I think is subtle, but really illustrates that point. You talk about slow too fast through. I always tell my guys, I want to see the minute or the second you make your decision, right?
Right.
When you talk about shopping, when you pick your lane, I want to see it in your feet. So
exactly.
I shouldn't have to wonder, hey, when did you decide to cut this back? Now you might know pre-snap again. You talk about, your pre-snap.
But you got to press it.
Right. But
yeah.
I should see you pressing it the exact same every time. And then if when you make that decision, okay, hey, they gave me the front side B gap, I'm going to take it. Or,
right.
They slant.
Right. Exactly.
Now
you stay on the B. And sometimes the outside zone's like that, but sometimes the outside zone could turn into a backside cutback. But anyways, like you said, man, it's about playing it patient. And I think this one ended up cutting all the way back, but it's kind of shopping all the way back to the corner, man. But I actually started up front. I only picked him up because he had number 31. Yeah, we gotta. Yeah, it's kind of.
Sorry, another key there. You brought key point. You brought up squaring guys up again. I always tell guys this. Hey, when you cut it back, you got to go vertical right away, right?
Right now,
the hitter is going to show up,
and it's going to be a crossbody.
Square up buys you all that space. It's incredible technically.
Always, and it kind of changed how they can approach you. If they can get their head across and friggin' or behind. Now I think, what do they call it? The alligator tackle.
Yeah.
But either way, square or not square, if you're gonna go with the alligator tackle, I'm squared up and my feet allow me to go left or right or north. So yeah, that's I think this one I might be at fullback on this clip actually, but there's no problem. I think it's Daniel Porter, man. Louisiana Tech. But the big thing is, man, at the end of the day is, the slow too fast through. And, say you might get a 7-up look or a look where we predetermine, like we talked about that second touchdown run, where it's not slow too. It's right now, but it's happening. Those are only a special few plays. But the big thing is, being patient, slowing down, and making every rep count, because you really never know. And you never know how a game's going to go, whether it's early. Obviously, late in the game, you know how a game's going, but you don't know which play it is. So you don't get to decide which play I'm going to pick it up on this. I'm going to pick it up on that. So get that out of your head as a back and be a beast every play you get the rock. So make all those opportunities count. This sport, man, like, is unlike anything else and can be taken away on any snap or without a snap. But at the end of the day, it's just about, making those plays count and doing what you got to do. And as backs, I think it gets overlooked because people think it's plug and play. And at the end of the day, it is that protection aspect too.
Yeah, no, it's great advice. And I see it so much with young guys. When it really starts to click for them is when they get that ability to be slow too fast through. I think if anyone's watching this and you're wondering, okay, what's my number one takeaway or the first thing I want to achieve? If I can find a way to work that, into drills, or if I could find a way in my own, in your own game as a player to really try and find that, I think that's, I was lucky. I've worked with some really talented guys in 2019. Lavondre Gordon in his senior year was an All-Canadian, and an elite athlete. But, to see him grow from, okay, he's hitting home runs, to now he's really, really consistent. And when the home run's there, he's hitting it. But, if the O-line gives us 2 yards, he's always getting us, his habits get you +2. I always used to say that too. Right. So if
No
the
doubt.
O-line gives us 2 yards, your habits are going to get you to 4. If the
For
O-line gives
sure.
you 5 yards, your habits are going to get you to 7. Right. And like you said, you get into the second level, now it can be a little bit less about your habits and a little bit more about, what you bring to the table individually.
Right.
But that's an awesome point.